So let's move on to the next part of here. Another important thing that the Biden administration is considering doing today, although I have some mixed quibbles with it. Let's put this up there on the screen. The United States currently is weighing the largest ever draw from the emergency oil reserve, the strategic petroleum reserve. This has not yet been announced, but what the administration is considering, and the announcement could come as soon as today, is the release of 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now, there's a couple of things that are important to note here. Will 1 million barrels a day make a difference? Yes and no. So crude oil on Wednesday still is trading at $105 a barrel. Now, the issue here is, of course, oil is a global market in the way that it's priced. So will 1 million barrels a day significantly have an impact on price? Energy analysts are mixed. At the same time, it is still important for the administration to do something in order to lower the price of gas. So I went ahead and I asked a couple of energy analysts late last night whether this is a good thing. So here's what one says. I'm not going to quote him directly. He says, the one good thing is that they're supposedly planning on doing it slowly rather than one big shot. However, if it is not paired with other efforts to fix the imbalance, then they are not going after the systemic problem they have in the oil markets. So part of the issue, as we've explained, and I'll do it just very briefly again, is that basically investors in Wall Street financed 10 years of shale oil drilling here in America. They took a bath because of COVID, and they lost over $500 billion. So right now, high oil prices and the high profits the oil companies have, that's paying back the investors for all the cash that they lost previously. We've already had oil company CEOs say, we would not drill if oil is even $200 a barrel. Pioneer's CEO literally said that on live television. Why does that matter? It means there is a capital imbalance in the oil market. Only the government can fix that. We have not yet seen any effort in order to fix that specific part, and that's going to require some pain on the oil company's part too, to be like, hey, your guys are going to have to drill, we're going to have to make this up, you can't just reap massive profits off of us, but there's none of that conversation happening yet. We had that guy Skanda Amarnath on. He had a plan specifically using the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, in order to help set price and fix some of the imbalance in terms of drilling, which also has a sunset so that you don't finance these oil companies for the future. So it's a tiny little step, and it's kind of like the electric vehicle thing we just talked about. It's a tiny little step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Is it going to lower price to like $3.50 a gallon or $3? No, it's not going to do that at all.
Upon the news that they were considering this, prices did drop. Market prices did drop. So that shows that they think it will have some impact. Right now, the numbers are the U.S. consumes about 20 million barrels of oil a day.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about 1 million barrels of, I mean, it's still...
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah. It's something. And I think probably it's honestly more greater significance is in the political messaging. As you said, people are telling pollsters, and this is really across the board, that the Biden administration is not focused on the issues that they care most about, that the number one issue that they are concerned about that is eating into their budgets, making it impossible for them to make ends meet, is inflation. So this is an attempt to say, look, we're doing something here that's significant. It's more than has ever been done before in terms of releases from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So we shall see. I mean, the probably more significant to the price of gas is the fact that you have these new lockdowns in China.
Oh, yeah.
Reducing
that is the single most
gas consumption because, I mean, that's what happened, of course, when we had COVID around the globe. And lockdowns with regards to COVID is you had prices just drop through the floor. I mean, at one point, like going negative on oil futures, and it was crazy. So that will probably have more of an impact. And we have already seen gas prices tick down a little bit through no doing of the Biden administration. On the other hand, the fact, as you covered, Saagar, on Tuesday, the fact that you do have these lockdowns in China makes all sorts of other parts of our supply chain completely screwed up. And then you layer on top of that, looming food crisis that Biden says is, quote, gonna be real. Because of the war, because of sanctions and all of this. And it's still a pretty grim landscape.
Biden just has this terrible ability to be like, yeah, this is bad, but then do nothing about it. I mean, look, I just gave him credit for the DPA and for oil. I think that's great. but we need some real strategic plans here. Everything from them is totally half-assed.
Not just for the next month, but for the next decade, for the next 20 years.
Yeah, there's so much that we have to do.
This is the moment when you could set us up. I mean, you know, that's the one thing. When you have this kind of crisis and the stakes are really clear and people, you know, really get how all these pieces are so fundamental and, you know, you're just kind of tinkering around the margins. Nip and tuck on this and that thing. It's wildly insufficient.
I can't be the only one. I recently checked my power bill. The thing is completely out of control.
Oh,
so,
it's
you know,
crazy.
there's a lot of people out there. People are paying a lot of money, both at the pump, in terms of food, in terms of gas. I mean, this is all stuff that really adds up for normal folks. So this is the time when you could do something about it, but we're broken record whenever it comes to that.
Indeed. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.